But there's some things that make me really question if it's him. According to reports, and again, I don't know how valid this is because the guy's just traveling around. Mm-hmm. He was in Arizona at the time that the murders were committed.
Yeah, and Arizona was the place where all the cabin break-ins were taking place.
That's
right?
where a lot of yeah. He evidently upgraded guns. Mm-hmm. Before 1985, he went from a 22 to a 45.
And actually, I read that when he died, he didn't just die; he was shot to death by the police. And
it wasn't the police; it was off-duty police officers.
Oh, okay. But anyway, he was found to have in his possession then not a 45, but a .357 Magnum revolver.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and the revolver was originally sold to a guy who had disappeared. So probably another one of his victims.
Got it.
Yeah.
Well, the way he went down, I think he got caught breaking into a place, and it was a man and a woman. I think they were off-duty cops. They might not have been, but I think they were. They exchanged fire. He shoots the male cop in the leg after having been shot himself. So as he gets shot, he's going down. He's still firing rounds, hit this cop. The lady cop didn't know how to use the gun that she had.
The lady cop. Sorry.
Well, it was something to do with, I think it was, there's a single action and a double action. Is that correct, Joe?
She just thought it was a taser.
She thought it was a single action. She didn't know how to use it, and it was a double action. So the cop who had been shot grabs the gun from her and then kills Burgess and then later dies himself. Like a hail of bullets.
Yeah, I think
Crazy
it was probably
story.
Probably the reverse. So if you think something is a single action, that means you cock the hammer. A single action you have to cock every time. She probably had a single action revolver, thinking it was a double action, not realizing she kept pulling the trigger.
Without cocking it.
You got to cock the hammer on single action. So that's probably what it was.
But it was a crazy scenario. There's one other thing about him that I've read that, again, I can't corroborate it anywhere else, saying that at the time of the murders he was in jail in California. That having been said, I've said it, the guy's not checking in. We don't know exactly where he is, so it's hard to say if he was responsible for these two double murders.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's hard. I would say it's possible, because one of the things is when he upgraded to a .357, that doesn't mean he threw his 22 away.
Oh, absolutely not.
No, God, no.
Yeah, and a .22 rifle actually as a murder weapon out in the woods makes a lot more sense, because
much quieter,
hell of
simpler,
a lot quieter,
easier to get ammo for.
Way easier.
Ammo weighs a lot less.
Yep.
Yeah, so I mean, it could have been him.
We belabored him enough. We're going to go to number 4.
Oh, by the way, the guy was ugly. I don't know if you saw any pictures of him. He was scary looking.
Oh yeah. Oh no, look him up. Burgess is a crazy looking bearded, screwy mountain man. I didn't ever want to meet him. But next theory is that the killings were done by a person who had a thing to use a tube sock, and we just don't know who they are. So there are a huge string of killings of people hiking and camping up and down the western coast of the United States.
It's a little scary. There's a lot of people out there getting killed.
Yeah, and it's before these folks died and well after. I mean, recently as I think 2 years ago, there was another one. I've seen maps that try and connect them, and if they truly are connected, it's, like you said, it's scary, but it's also a little strange because, again, the socks never make an appearance again. To travel that much ground, it's fair distances to suddenly go, like I've seen one of the maps, and it jumps from northern Washington to southern California and then back up to northern Oregon. Like this is serious distances to be traveling.
Well,
in how much time though?
I can't imagine it's just one killer.
Weeks. But it just seems like, why? I mean, I guess it could be a trucker, but why would truckers be out on campsites? And you think trucks would be? But I mean,
but if you're,
it's hard to wrap my brain around.
I guess like the rail lines is pretty. Like if you're hopping rail cars, right? If you're homeless or vagrant or
maybe you've got a car,
or maybe you have a car and you're driving.
Or maybe,
but that does seems weird that you would travel that far up and down, back and forth, unless you were like train hopping and that was kind of where you were living, right?
Yeah.
If you were just like, I'm gonna get in my car and drive to California and then kill some people and then drive up to Washington and kill some more people, that's a little less
sketchy.
But nobody's claiming, seriously though, that all of these murders all up and down the coast were committed by the same person.
Yeah, that's fair.
Right?
There are people who are trying to make connections.
Yeah.
I will say that. But nobody seriously says they're all connected.
Yeah.
It just
seems unlikely.
Too random to be all connected.
And let's face it, there's no shortage of serial killers. There's no reason that one poor, harried, overworked serial killer has to be doing all of this.
So the thing is, with all of these murders up and down the coast, like I said before, the tube sock never shows up. Maybe it was a tool of convenience in the two murders. I don't know, but it doesn't come up. There's people that I've looked at that I've tried to pin this on that I couldn't. Israel Keys was one of the ones that I wanted to pin it on, except it turns out he's way too young. He'd have been 8 years old at the time of the murder, so that doesn't work.
And you didn't find anything that could have escalated from the tube sock murders, right? I mean, that's an elementary tool, a tool
I've looked at people who
like
shot or strangled their victims, and we're going to talk about some serial killers that could possibly be it.
Sure.
But I never found a strong link. And serial killers don't tend to change their MO, so you would think that those two factors, the strangling and the shooting, would have stayed consistent.
Yes, that's true.
Regardless of the sock.
Yeah.
May have used a rope or whatever, but that way to go about it.
Serial killers do tend to evolve.
They do, but there's probably some smart ones out there who actually change their MO all over the place.
Oh God, that's scary to think about. I don't want to think
It is
about
really the scariest part about it.
As a white female, I don't want to think about that at all.
Better get a gun and a grenade.
Yeah, jeez.
Take them with you.
So we're going to move to our next theory, and this is loosely tied to the last two. There's a guy who sometimes he's called the Mountain Man. You'll hear him called the Elbe serial killer or the Northwest serial killer. And
never the Cascadia serial killer.
I don't know if I've seen that. Okay.
Just making topical humor.
This is making reference to a serial killer that is believed to be operating in the range of northwestern Oregon up to the Tacoma, Seattle area. And there's been a couple of reports that I've come across about a strange mountain man who just comes out of the woods and he's got a .22 rifle and maybe another gun on him, and he's really strange and he's really weird and he gives people the creeps, and they think that he potentially could be the person and that he's territorial for where he's at, so he stumbles across somebody in his area doing something he doesn't like and decides, that's it, I'm going to hunt you down and I'm going to kill you like prey, and that's what he does.
So
I don't know that this person actually exists. I mean, it could just be a random weirdo that different people have bumped into. It's never the same person meeting this guy twice. I don't know that it's true, but there's a lot of talk about this, and it's an easy jump in logic when you hear these stories of, I met this really creepy weird guy with a gun in the woods, to that creepy weird guy with the gun in the woods is the one that's killing everyone.
Yeah, in fairness, I've spent a fair amount of time in the woods, and I have met my fair share of creepy weird dudes.
That's what I'm afraid I have too,
Yeah, with rifles, and I think that's just like a thing in the Pacific Northwest, to be honest with you. I don't know that I necessarily crazy eyes. Like, of course he had crazy eyes. He was a weird dude in the middle of the forest with a rifle. Like, of course he did. Joe has crazy eyes half the time. I mean, I think that they probably look at me and they're like, what is this weird chick doing in the middle of the forest? Like, she's got a bow and some arrows. She's a weirdo. That's
she's
the
sort
of,
well, yeah.
she's a weirdo. I don't know. I don't know.
It might be that you meet people like that too, and you see they have a gun, and then you get all freaked out.
Because they have a gun and I don't.
And so you sort of like, oh my God, he's a psycho, and then you look for reasons to believe he's a psycho, and
Or
it's
you
just
think-
some regular guy.
Or you think like the what ifs get a hold of you.
Yeah.
You know.
The what if
The
syndrome
what
is
ifs.
deadly.
Where you're like, oh God, what if he was crazy? What if he shot me? What if he shot those people? Oh my
Uh-huh.
God, he totally shot those people.
I
In
know.
some of the areas, this is what I think people are linking to specifically, is in some of those areas where this mountain man has been spotted, or a mountain man has been spotted.
Or some dude in the forest has been
There
spotted.
have been couples that are unwed couples that are found shot in the head in their sleeping bags. So people are drawing the link from that.
So that's a pattern.
That's a pattern. And they're connecting that pattern because of Stephen Harkins, who was shot in the head in his sleeping bag.
Thing is about you spot a couple in a sleeping bag, maybe in a tent. How do you tell they're unmarried?
Yeah.
I mean,
I was
it's like-
just gonna say that.
Yeah, you pull out, you like.
Did you go talk to him?
Yeah, you
He'd
walk
have
up
to
to
go
them with the
talk to him.
flashlight
You'd
and your
have to
gun, and you
talk
say, "Hey, hold out your left hands, both of you."
No, but not even that. Like my parents, when we'd go camping, they left their wedding rings at home.
Yeah.
Like you don't wear that when you're gonna go bathe in a stream.
No, it doesn't.
That's expensive and awesome.
Yeah.
Right? No, I mean that's the thing. It's like,
I
or
know.
your fingers are bloated or whatever. Like I honestly, like we spent a lot of time in the wilderness as a kid, and my parents literally never took their wedding rings with them.
Yeah.
So for as far as anybody knew, they were an unmarried couple.
Yeah, and so it's amazing they didn't get shot.
Yeah, it is.
Really?
It absolutely is. It was amazing that I wasn't left at a Kmart saying Mommy was in the trees.
Mommy's in the stream.
Oh my gosh, maybe I was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Okay. All right. Let's move to our last theory.
Okay.
What's
Because
the
believe it or
last
not, we still have one more to go.
Oh no,
Is it a good one?
It's
that kind of sucks.
it's actually the hardest one.
They all suck, don't they?
A little bit here,
Ugh.
but okay, we talked about this before. I dove into serial killerville, going through every single board of serial killer lists that I could find. Found some unknown and known serial killers. And by unknown, I mean people that have been given a name, but we don't know who they are. They've been given a moniker.
Okay.
And then people that have been caught, and we know who they are,
Sure.
that because they're in the general region could potentially be responsible for this set of double murders that we're talking about.
Okay.
We've got a person that is called the 22 caliber killer, and this person's believed to have killed 3 women who were found dumped in the Spokane River in
At the
1990.
same time.
Spokane, just so people know, is on the exact opposite side of the state of Washington, like 300 miles away.
It's a ways, yeah.
It's the opposite side, but it's also several years later, so conceivably somebody could travel the state.
Yeah.
But
But they were all 3 shot at the same time?
I don't know. They weren't shot at the same time.
But
they were
around.
shot in the same year.
Okay.
They were prostitutes. They were shot with a 22 rifle, or a gun, I should say.
Something
we don't know that
22
it's a
caliber.
rifle.
Yeah.
22 caliber gun.
Sure.
Yeah, this is completely different circumstances, though. And you see the
Well,
yeah.
again, Joe, that's the hard part here. Is I'm reaching for straws, and I'm just trying to find people that could potentially be linked.
Well, it's not that one.
It's not that one. Okay. All right. Well, then I'll move to the next one, which is Gary Shaw. Gary Shaw was convicted of raping and then killing 2 women in Tacoma in separate attacks in 1985, which is the same year. He dumped the bodies of these women in the woods in Pierce County, which is on the edge of Tacoma,
Which is where our murders took place.
which is where our murders took place. So it's in the same region. Possible. I don't know. Again, these
Seems
are just
unlikely. Again, you know, anything I feel for me, anything that is like a single female murder, abduction, rape thing,
okay. Fine.
No, it's hard because
Okay,
that's so much
fine.
extra work.
Checkmate. The Green River Killer. What about him? He committed. That's Gary Ridgway. That guy went literally bananas with the killing.
He killed a lot of people. Did he kill anybody other than prostitutes, though?
Well, that's the question, right? That's the MO. Is the MO, hey, I pick up prostitutes or single women and abuse and whatever them and kill them, or do I find couples and take care of them, right? That's the question.
Well,
for me.
and I think potentially you led us to a little bit of the answer, which is killers evolve.
Yeah.
Could be, wait, when there's two people, this is way too much work. This is way too difficult. It gets a little messy. Like, there's conjecture that Diana tried to get away, and that's why she was stabbed so viciously, is that Ruth cooperated, so she was easily killed, but Diana freaked out and tried to get away, and that made the killer angry and stabbed the heck out of her.
I guess that's true, and I guess that deals with the, if you're targeting prostitutes, you're targeting women
Easy
who
victims.
have, but also women who have sex outside of marriage, if that's your thing, right? So okay, all right, I accept.
Okay, so
I think that
Ridgway
Gary
lived-
Ridgway, even though his specialty was prostitutes in the I-5 corridor, when you think about it, the guy needs to take a vacation occasionally.
Yeah, but also the whole Tacoma thing, that's not so far off the I-5 corridor.
No, it really isn't that far. But like I said, he was just out camping and just relaxing, and then it comes across these couples, and it's like, oh, well, why not a little
Cool.
recreational killing?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just for funsies.
Yeah.
And if anybody doesn't know about the Green River Killer,
Google him.
there's a ton of information. He lives in Renton, which is north of Tacoma and north of Seattle.
Right? Lived.
Yeah. They've
Which is
got
the
him under
only reason I'm
lock and
okay
key.
walking to my car at night.
Yeah.
That is the end of the theories. I mean, like I said, I spent forever digging through stuff until I realized I was looking for a needle in a haystack, and I kind of had to stop. And I don't know that any of the theories that we've come up with ourselves or discussed so far even come close to figuring this out, because there's so little there to work with, but it's so strange, the connection between the two.
Yeah. I mean, I think that's totally fair. It's weird tube socks with knots. That's weird.
But then the knotted tube sock doesn't show up again after that. Those
Ever.
two, like that seems like such a specific thing to have done.
Yeah.
In such a short time span. Now, it's completely plausible that the goofball that did this then got himself arrested for something else and locked up for a good long time, and we never knew about it because nobody ever asked, and that person never admitted to it.
Yeah, that happens a lot. Or he could have gotten killed. He could have gotten a car wreck.
Or it was D.B. Cooper.
Yeah, there you go.
Could have tried to screw with the wrong couple who were armed to the teeth themselves and just blew him away and buried him. But there's a bazillion ways this can go.
Yeah, it's hard.
I would say that again, we'll go back to one of my favorite ways of looking at these things, is that there was somebody specific in there that he wanted to kill. Probably, let's say Michael or Diana.
I would say Diana. It was the most brutal.
Yeah.
It was the most personal.
And so what you do is you go out and you kill somebody. You kill a couple out in the woods, just like these two.
Yeah, we've talked about this.
And you do the tube sock thing. And then when it comes time you follow those guys out in the woods, track them down, and
you make a red
kill
herring.
Them. Yeah, and you kill them. And then if they do kind of have you as a suspect for Diana or whichever one they have you as a suspect for, you just say, well, no, it was a tube sock killer, and these other people, I have no connection with them whatsoever.
The problem you run into with that is if they didn't publicize the tube sock part of the first part, right? Is when you say, oh no, it was totally a tube sock killer because that other lady was found with a tube sock, and they're like, well, how did you know that?
Yeah. But no, I mean,
Hopefully you're smarter than that.
Obviously, you're not going to say that.
I mean, I think there's an obvious answer here.
Yeah.
Well, it was Crystal.
Yeah. Whoa, you're a genius.
Wow.
She was the only survivor. I don't know what you want from me.
Yeah.
She didn't have a good alibi.
No, it's just this mommy's in the trees. I mean, that's a crappy
I'm sorry.
alibi.
That's a horrible thing to say.
Yeah, that's a horrible
she was
joke.
Too, but she as much as anybody though, realistically.
Yeah, well, that's exactly the hard part with this is she as much as anybody. Guys, I've spent I don't know how much time reading on this one, and I still don't know where to go. I mean, I don't know if you two tracked the list that I was making, but things kept changing because I kept adding to it and then deleting people off of it. Like, I just don't know. It's so hard to say. But I think that is probably the best place to end this particular story.
Wait a
Because
minute.
we just don't know.
Did we talk about Bigfoot?
No.
Bigfoot.
No.
How about the chupacabra?
Yeah.
It's not a
I did that.
Bigfoot / Chupacabra team up. We're gonna move on.
Are you 100% sure, Steve?
I am 99.9% sure.
That's
imagine
the
if those-
most sure you've ever been.
Imagine if those two like teamed up. I mean, it would be probably the end of humanity.
It probably would.
Oh my God.
So let's
Yeah,
give you
movie
all
here.
of the special details that everybody likes to hear us talk about at the end of the show, which is links for some of the research is going to be on our website, and that website is, of course, thinkingsidewayspodcast.com. If you're there, you can